Hi once again folks, how is all doing? Well, what have we got here? This is a Heljan Metropolitan that was sent to me by a chap called Gerry. He says this needs a new motor and possibly a new PCB. He's removed the old motor, which you can see there with the flywheel still on it, and he's provided me with a new motor and a new circuit board. So there's no point in powering this up, it's got no motor in it. Let's get it into the shed and see if we can get the new motor in. Okay then, Heljan Metropolitan. Not looked at one of these before. It's quite a pretty looking thing. This is John Milton, and it's got Liverpool Street on one end and Aylesbury on the other. Yeah, very nice model. So that's the old motor with the flywheels and the O-rings on it. The problem with the motor already being removed, I don't know if the motor goes that way or that way, and I don't know which is positive and which is negative. But we'll figure it out. I've also got the new motor. That's the drive shafts and a replacement circuit board with blanking plate, 21 pin. Whether we need that or not, I don't know. We shall see. We'll replace the motor first and we'll see. Right, okay, how do we get into this? We've got 4 screws, and hopefully that'll do it. Wheels are nice and clean. So yeah, let's undo these 4 screws and see what happens. I like Heljan models, they're nicely detailed, nice and heavy. They're fiddly, but aren't they all nowadays? All the new models are fiddly. I really don't see much difference between Heljan, Bachmann and Hornby when it comes to their diesels these days. They're all a right fiddle to work on. In fact, in some respects, I would say Bachmann are worse. Here we go. So that's those 4 long retaining screws. Does this now come off? It's certainly loose. Come on. This is where it gets very nerve-wracking working on other people's locomotives, where you get into the realms of breakage risk. So what is stopping this coming off? It seems to be nice and loose. Is there clips? There we go, I think. It just needs a wee bit of persuasion. Does look like it might have clips in it. There we go. There we are. Alright, okay, so there we go. There's the circuit board. Does it need replaced? Who can tell? So I'm guessing this old motor has just burnt out, like some of the other Hellions. I don't see any evidence of burnout on the circuit board. But once we get the motor in, we'll be able to see whether the lights work or not. Actually, that's a point, because the lights should still work. Do we have any lights? Yep, got lights at the front, but not at the back. But they work in that direction. So I don't think there's any red lights. So I think it's entirely possible that the circuit board's fine. It's the motor. So the circuit board rests in this steel caddy, which is held in by these 4 screws. I'm looking for the wires that connect to the motor. Is that them here? Yes, it is. Gerry's thoughtfully taped them together and marked them as the wires that go to the motor. So I'm guessing the fact that those wires are sitting up here would suggest that the motor goes that way round with the terminals at this end. We shall unscrew this little steel caddy with the circuit board and see what's underneath. Right, just lift out, easy enough. Okay. Right, okay. So you can see where the motor rests. That's where the O-rings sit to hold the motor in place. Alright, okay. Looks straightforward enough. I should never ever say things look straightforward. So what we have to do is get the flywheels off this and onto that. Getting them off will be easy enough, but getting them on is usually the fiddle. So we'll take these O-rings off. A few people have commented saying that it's an idea to warm flywheels up when taking them off or pushing them on. Yeah, it'll soften the metal. It will possibly make it a bit easier, but it also expands the metal. But expands in every direction, so the little hole will actually get smaller if you heat them up. I mean, I wouldn't be heating these up because they've got the plastic inserts, and I don't know. It's just something you don't need to do, and time is precious. Right, where's my pullers? It's this wee chap again. Just before I pull this, Gerry's been very thoughtful and given me the dimensions for the motor, the motor between the flywheel and the overall length from one end of the flywheel to the other. Because it's quite important to get that as accurate as you can. This should come off relatively easy, I think. That's that one. There we go. Just to be on the safe side, I'm just going to put a piece of tape on that. That tells me that that's the old motor. And then we'll fit the new one. So that will fit onto there. And that will fit onto there. Right, that's going to sit in there just fine. We shall give this a squeeze. Squeeze that one. That one's on. They're both on. Could maybe just do with another wee squeeze. I'm just going to jam a screwdriver in there. So when I squeeze this like that, it's closing that one, not that one. That should do it, I think. So slip those O-rings on. So they fit in there like that, or like that. And then we've got to fit that into here, which could be easier said than done. Let's see if we can get this into position. Fortunately, that dry shaft is quite stiff. So I think we fit that one first, and I really cannot see what I'm doing. That's not going to work. Let's fit this into the worm gear first. I really can't see if that's in position. I think the endoscope's actually going to come in useful here, because I want to be able to see if that's in position. Right, using the endoscope here, I can see how I need to orientate this drive shaft. So the slots are pretty much at 2:45, I think. There we go, the drive shaft's in place. I thought I could maybe just get the drive gear just to go in and push the motor down, but no, I think we're going to have to loosen one of the bogies. There's just not quite enough give. Trying to cut a corner there, but it's just too tight to fit. I think I'm going to have a cup of tea and think about this. Okay, so off camera, I had a bit of a fiddle around with this to see if I could disengage the bogie on this end, which I've managed to do. There's a clip just there, it just clips in there, and then there's another one underneath. How easy it will be to clip it back in place, I don't know, but that frees the bogie up a bit and should allow me to get the motor in place, I think. I've also determined which is positive and which is negative. I just applied power through the locomotive, touched the wires either side, and made a note of when it's spun in this direction, which will drive the locomotive that way. And it turns out that that's the positive, at least the red wire will attach to that terminal and the black one to that terminal. So that's really what I have to do now. What I was trying to do before was kind of trial fit to see if I could get the motor in without dismantling anything else, but no, I've had to loosen that front bogie. I think ideally you would want to get everything out. What I'm going to do is wire up this motor, see if I can fit it in, see if I can get this bogie back in place, and then we'll take it from there. The fact that taking power through the locomotive seemed to power the motor okay and the lights seem to work, I don't think there's anything wrong with the circuit board. So I shall leave that in its packet and just tell Gerry, I think your circuit board's okay. There's no point replacing it. Right, okay, we'll get soldering. It's the black wire on. It's the red wire on. This little nodule here on the chassis, I'm pretty sure engages with that little slot in the motor, helps keep it in position. So we need to drop that down, trying to get the O-rings in position. Right, I think that'll do it if I can get that drive gear to engage. Okay, I'm having a bit of a nightmare with this. I really thought I was going to be able to get that motor in, and with that bogie being loose, be able to get the other drive gear in position and then just clip the bogie back in and screw that down and we'd be done. But no, it's just far too fiddly, and the main problem is I can't see what I'm doing. I can't be absolutely certain that the motor is in just the right position or that the O-rings are in the right position. They don't seem to be because this isn't sitting flush. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to unplug all the wires so I can take this on and off nice and easily, and then we'll see if we can do it that way. So I'm just going to use a blue magic marker on a couple of these plugs that aren't marked. Actually, I think what I'll do is I'll take a photograph of this. Right, I took a photograph, so I've got a record of what plugs in where. That's the one to the motor. Unplug these ones. So right, that's not sitting right. That's it like that. So if I can now get the drive shaft installed in that, what we'll do is we'll screw it down. That'll hold the motor in place, and hold that in place. We'll see if we can get the drive gear engaged, and then it'll be a case of just plugging the wires back into the circuit board. Be one of these things, if you've worked on a few of these, you'll know exactly what to do, and it'll be easy enough. But when you haven't worked on something before, there's always a lot of trial and error involved until you figure it out. But I kind of like that. I kind of like the puzzle. Where we've got this out, just pop that open. Ah, it's all enclosed. Look at that. So I would need to take the entire bogie assembly apart just to get into the worm gear. I'm not going to do that. If it's all sealed up, I'm quite sure the lubrication will be fine. Get this out of the road. It actually would have been better to have loosened this bogie. There's more space at this end than there is at this end, so that was a mistake. Right, so with that out the road, can I now get this up? That's a bit easier. It's still tight. Oh, hang on. If I unclip that, now then, through there again, glasses on. That's in there now. Now get that down in there. Oh, come on, it's so close. The drive gear's engaged, but I've just got to get this, whatever it is, into its little hole that I can't see. I think I've done it. Right. That will then clip back on. There, done it. Gee whiz. So the secret really was removing this part here. Right, then we just need to plug everything back into where it's supposed to go. Is it CN9 or CN6? I better check my photograph. Alright, okay, so I've finally got this all back together with the new motor installed. Sometimes I kick myself for not taking a little bit more time to study things more thoroughly before taking them apart, but having dealt with a few Hellions, I kind of thought this would be similar, which it is, but on this model, just everything seems a little bit tighter. There's just no wriggle room at all. If I was to do this again, I'd loosen both bogies to get as much wriggle room as possible, and for the drive shafts. And I now know that taking the clip off the top of each bogie assembly will allow the removal. So yeah, I didn't go about this the right way, and it ended up being one of the fiddliest things I've ever done. It took me a lot longer than I care to admit to get this back together. So what you guys saw was heavily edited, just to keep it short and to the point. It definitely wasn't a how-to demonstration by any means. But let's see if this actually works. Because if it doesn't, I may scream. Right, it's on the track. Please work. There it goes. Well, that's a relief. Right, okay, we'll get the body on. Right, let's pull it out of the shed. Okay then, let's bring her out. Alright, that's this Heljan Metropolitan fitted with a new motor. Yeah, Hellions are always a joy. The main problem I had with this one really was seeing what I was doing. It's all very tight in there, especially fitting the drive shafts. If I was to do this again, I'd remove the mount with the circuit board and loosen both bogies straight away, which I think would make things a bit easier. And then it wouldn't be too bad, but you know, you live and learn. The circuit board seems to be fine, so I haven't replaced that. Don't replace things if there's doubt wrong with them. So yeah, there you go. Always fun and interesting to work on something new. But this one did test my patience a bit, I have to say. But got there in the end. So I shall get this packed up and sent back to Gerry. I'm not sure if the next video will be a repair request, a donation, or a layout update, or maybe something else. You just have to wait and see, and so will I. Okay folks, catch you later.